Question: what great historic event happened on the 20th of Ramadan? What is the greatest event that happened for the Muslims on the 20th of Ramadan? It is very important for us to know history. Who knows? Man ya'rif? The 20th of Ramadan, year 8 of the Hijri calendar, is when the Muslims conquered the city of Mecca. The 20th of Ramadan, year 8, is when the Muslims conquered the city of Mecca. It became a city of Islam from then on to forever, until the Ethiopian with the thin legs will come to destroy it before the end of times. The city of Mecca will be under the Muslims. The 17th of Ramadan was 3 days back. That was the day that the great battle of Badr occurred. Inshallah, Ikhwani, today we shall look at issues related to paying back the fasts that you've missed, and also we shall look at the issues related to the Itikaaf. Before we begin our lecture, Ikhwani fillah, tonight, inshallah, will be the 21st of Ramadan. This is when you will start your Itikaaf, and this is when also you will start the Tahajjud prayers. Tonight will be the 21st of Ramadan. We'll be starting our Tahajjud prayers, and also the Itikaaf. You should be at the mosque either before Maghrib or tomorrow morning after Fajr, depending on the two opinions. Question, Ikhwani fillah. Some people, they come and they will claim, they will claim, did the Prophet ﷺ pray Taraweeh and pray Tahajjud in the mosque in the month, on the last 10 days of Ramadan? Ikhwani fillah, these same people, when it comes to the 10 days that are the best days of the year, the days of the Hijjah, they will come and ask you, did the Prophet ﷺ fast the 10 days of the Hijjah? These people, Ikhwani fillah, should not be given any listen. You should not even listen to them. The Prophet ﷺ قال, Salatul Layl mathna mathna. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the night prayer is 2-2. أطلق عليه الصلاة والسلام ولم يقيد. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he gave you the option of praying Salatul Layl that begins any time from after Isha until Fajr, 2 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah. If you decide that tonight you're praying Taraweeh, 2 rak'ah, 2 rak'ah, 8, then you wake up also on Tahajjud, la bas. There's no problem. And this is the understanding of the Salafus Salih. Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari rahimahullah, كان يصلي التراويح. He used to pray the Taraweeh. ثم يقوم بعد التراويح فيكمل القرآن في 3 أيام. He used to stand up in prayer after Taraweeh and finish the Quran every 3 nights. During the day he finishes Quran once, and every 3 nights he completes the entire Quran. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he says, ما من الأيام العمل صالح فيهن أحب إلى الله من هذه العشر. There's no day that when you do a good deed, that it's better than a good deed within the 10 days of the Hijjah. Amongst the good deeds you can do, definitely is to fast. So do not listen to these people who come tell you it's not allowed to fast the 10 days, the 9 days of the Hijjah. Do not listen to them when they tell you you cannot combine between Taraweeh and Tahajjud. Combine. Spend the entire night. What about the people who are in Itikaaf? They're definitely going to be in the mosque. You tell them to pray Taraweeh and not Tahajjud? It does not make any sense. Tonight, Ikhwani fillah, we shall look at issues related to paying back the missed fast, and also issues related to the Itikaaf. First question: if you've missed a day of Ramadan, you've missed 5 days. Like our sisters, they get their periods 6 days, 7 days. They have not fasted. Question: when they are paying it back, should they pay consecutive, or they can pay 1 day, then they jump, then they 1 day? Understood the question? Is it a must for you to be consecutive, or they can just pay 1 day, 1 day, 1 day? It is not a must for you to be consecutive. They can pay 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. For example, you missed 7 days, dear sister. You can fast 1 day in Shawwal, 1 day in Dhul Hijjah, 1 in Muharram, Safar, like that and so on. You finish your 7 days. So the scholars have said, لا يجب التتبع في قضاء رمضان وهذا باتفاق المذاهب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فعدة من أيام أخر. Allah has said that you pay back the days you missed later on. طيب, what is the ruling of someone who does not pay the days of Ramadan until the other Ramadan comes? You didn't fast this Ramadan, you were sick, for example, or you traveled, or you had your periods, or you had nifas as a woman, and you did not pay these days. If another Ramadan comes, a group of the scholars, they say, the majority of the scholars actually, they say that you have done a mistake, you should feed every day a poor person for the days that you've missed. This is the opinion of the majority. But the correct opinion, Khanifillah, is you should not delay your Ramadan to the next Ramadan, and there's no penalty upon you. You should just pay the days that you've missed. So for example, this Ramadan, you've missed 10 days. For whatever reason, out of your own laziness, the next Ramadan has reached and you still have days from this Ramadan, you fast that Ramadan that's coming, then immediately after, make sure you fast these other days that you've missed from this previous year. The next issue, Khanifillah, is, are you allowed to fast a voluntary fast before you have paid back your days of Ramadan? Understood the question? We're entering the month of Shawwal. Are you allowed to fast, for example, the 6 days of Shawwal, yet you have an obligatory siyam that's waiting for you from Ramadan? The Prophet ﷺ says, Man sama Ramadan, thumma atba'u bi sitti min Shawwal. Whoever fasts Ramadan, thumma, then, after that, they follow it up with 6 days of Shawwal. Then, it says that in the hadith. Taib, based on this hadith, and based on your knowledge, is it allowed for you to fast a sunnah fast, yet you have the fast of Ramadan that's due upon you? It is better, of course, Khanifillah, to pay your wajib before you engage in sunnah. But you are allowed to fast sunnah and you pay the wajib later. Why? Because the time of wajib is wide. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Allah has given you a very wide time that you can pay in. So there's no harm as a sister you pay your Ramadan later on. Aisha radiallahu anha, she used to pay her Ramadan all the way in Sha'ban. That does not mean she used to miss the fast of Arafah or the fast of Ashura or the fast of Sittat Shawwal if she was fasting. This fasts. The next issue, Khanifillah, is قضاء الصيام عن ميت الذي أخره لعذر. If someone has 6 days of Ramadan, your mother, for example, she got her periods in Ramadan, or your sister, or your daughter, then she passes away after Ramadan. So on her neck is those 7 days. What are you supposed to do? Is there something, as she made a mistake, number one, she's not made a mistake. But for you as the relatives, or the close family members, or even the friends, you're supposed to pay for her the missed fasts by fasting. It's better to fast, don't feed. Some people assume that you have to feed every time. No, feed for the person who was the person of feeding, and fast for the person who was the person of fasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So you're allowed to pay the fast of someone who's missed a fast for a valid reason. There's a man who came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, my mother passed away and she had a fast of Ramadan that was pending. Should I fast upon her, for her? He says, fast for her. Daynullahi ahaqqu bil qada. The debt of Allah is more worthy for you to pay. So, Khanifillah, make sure you know how many days, especially your wives, they owe. For that is something that you as the husband, you're responsible for. Ibadah, you're responsible for akhirah also. So also know that she has not fasted X number of days and you fast for her. Taib, you have a father or a mother who cannot fast. Can you fast on their behalf yet they are alive? Unaweza fungia mtu na ako hai. Labda ako mgonjwa, ako na ugonjwa wa kichwa, unasema ugonjwa wa kichwa, unasema ugonjwa wa akili. Kiswahili sanifu unasemaje? They have a mental issue. Can you fast on their behalf? You cannot fast on someone who's alive. You can only fast for someone who is dead. Type. You can perform Hajj for someone who's alive or dead. You can fast for someone who is dead. If they have fast spending, you can pay zakah for someone. The only thing you cannot do for someone is you cannot perform their salah. You cannot perform their salah. Type. So there's no khilaf amongst the Muslims that you cannot fast. لا يصام عن أحد في حياته وهذا بالإجماع. You cannot fast for anyone who is alive. The next issue, Khanifillah, is if you start fasting a fast that is obligatory. You're paying your days of Ramadan. You're paying next month, for example. Once you start fasting an obligatory fast, are you allowed later on you feel tired and you break your fast? Is that allowed for an obligatory fast? No, it's not allowed for an obligatory fast. Once you start it, you have to complete it. And this is the madhab of the four fuqaha. Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Imam Ahmed. طيب, we said previously, why do we always mention the scholars in this order? Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmed. Why do we mention them in this order? Who can remember? Ikhwani, mashallah, you are in hundreds. At least someone can remember our previous lesson. Why do you mention the scholars in this order? Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmed. Because of the dates that they passed away. Because of the dates that they passed away. For revision, we said Imam Abu Hanifa passed away which year? Who can shout the answer? Shout the answer if you're shy. You were in my class before. Abu Hanifa passed away which year? Now? Abu Hanifa, 150. Memorize right now if you've not memorized. Imam Abu Hanifa passed away in the year 150. Imam Malik, 179. Imam Shafi'i, 204. 204, not 205. Imam Ahmed, 241. 150, 179, 204, and 241. That is the order of these four scholars. So all of them, they say that if someone has started a wajib Sawm, they must complete it. A sunnah, a voluntary fast, if you start it, it's not a must for you to complete it. You can break your fast, but it's always better to continue fasting it. طيب. The next issue, Ikhwani fillah, that we're going to take is, what is the ruling of someone who eats during the day of Ramadan without any permission or without any reason to do so? Such a person, they have broken their fast. And they must pay back their fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told the one who's traveling and the one who's sick that when they break their fast, they have to pay it back. You who have done it intentionally without any reason, min babil awla, it is more a must for you to pay back that day that you missed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Whoever amongst you is sick or is traveling, they have to pay the fast later on when they get well. Our next topic, Ikhwani fillah, is related to what is going to happen tonight, and that is the issue of al-i'tikaf. Al-i'tikaf, Ikhwani fillah, is you remaining in the mosque to be closer to Allah Azza wa Jal during the entire day and the entire night. That is the i'tikaf that is mentioned when the people talk in the book of Siyam. هو الإقامة في المسجد بنية التقرب إلى الله عز وجل ليلا كانا أو نهارا. طيب. The reason that you perform this i'tikaf, Ikhwani fillah, is that you want some time between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. You want some seclusion between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. Let not it be that the very first time in your life that you're going to have some time between you and Allah and no one else is when you're in your grave. Let not that be the first time. Teach yourself from now on that you should have moments of seclusion, that you sit and you make dhikr, you make dua, you recite the Quran, and you pray as much as you want to pray to Allah Azza wa Jal. That is the i'tikaf. The ruling of i'tikaf is that it is a sunnah for the men and for the women. The ruling of i'tikaf is that it's a sunnah for the men and the women. The Prophet ﷺ used to perform his i'tikaf, and his wives, especially Aisha, Hafsa, and Zainab bint Jahsh, they used to perform also the i'tikaf with the Prophet ﷺ. The first condition for you to be able to perform i'tikaf is that you have to be a Muslim. I'tikaf will not be accepted from non-Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا مَنَعَهُمْ أَن تُقْبَلَ مِنْهُمْ نَفَقَاتُهُمْ إِلَّا أَنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. The only thing that made their sadaqah not accepted from them is because they disbelieved in Allah and the Messenger. So for the first condition that you have to have is that you have to be a Muslim. So a non-Muslim wants to experience what the Muslims experience in Ramadan, and they want to come and spend the last 10 nights of or the last 10 days in Ramadan i'tikaf, it does not benefit them. So the first condition, al-i'tikaf. The second condition, you need to have the mental capacity. So it's not accepted from a person who is mentally incapacitated with any form of incapacitation in the brain. They have to be okay in the brain. This is the second condition. The third condition, Qanifillah, is at-tamiz. The child who's coming to the mosque to perform i'tikaf, they have to be a child who knows the difference between good and wrong. They're able to tell what is right leg and left leg, for example, what the scholars say. And this is usually about the age of 7. So a child who is about 7 years of age, they can come and perform al-i'tikaf. It is not a condition for them to have reached the age of puberty. So a child who is able to differentiate between the left hand and the right hand, or between good and evil, or many other things that I've mentioned, about the age of 7, they are allowed to perform the i'tikaf. The next condition, Fillah, it is a must for you to have intention. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. We'll finish, then we'll ask the questions, inshallah. So you must have the intention. And the final condition related to the wife. What condition should the wife meet for her to perform the i'tikaf in the mosque? It's the easiest question. What's the condition that a lady is supposed to get for her to perform i'tikaf in the mosque? No? Permission from the husband, yes. Why? Because the husband has rights upon her. Then if she's missing in action, it can bring a lot of problems for the family. So the Aisha radiallahu anha, Hafsa, Zainab, they used to ask the Prophet ﷺ for permission to perform the i'tikaf. Type. The next condition, Fillah, is that i'tikaf is only performed in the mosque. Some sisters, I'm seeing some questions that are coming here. You cannot perform the i'tikaf in your prayer place in the house. You can only perform the i'tikaf in the mosque. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. Do not touch your women and you are performing i'tikaf in the mosque. So you have to perform the i'tikaf in the mosque. Which mosque is required for you to perform i'tikaf? Which type of mosque are you supposed to perform i'tikaf? The mosque where there is a mu'adhin and there is an imam. The condition is that the mosque where there's a mu'adhin, there's an imam, there's a jama'ah, you can perform the i'tikaf. It is not compulsory for you to be a mosque where the Friday prayer is prayed. As long as the 5 prayers are prayed and there's an imam and there's a mu'adhin, you can perform the i'tikaf in that mosque. Another issue that might come up is there's an opinion that says that you cannot perform i'tikaf except in the 3 mosques, Makkah, Medina, and Al-Aqsa. This opinion is a weak opinion. It's the opinion of one Sahaba. It's the opinion of Hudayfa ibn Yaman radiallahu anhu. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said to Hudayfa in Kufa, perhaps you're mistaken, perhaps you did not memorize. So the Muslims are in agreement, or the majority of them, they say that you can perform i'tikaf in any mosque. It is not a condition for you to perform i'tikaf in the 3 mosques. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. All you have believed, fasting has been enjoined upon you, as it was enjoined to the people before you, so that you can gain taqwa. Then He continues the verses. Then the next page He says, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. All related to the issue of fast. When Allah is talking about the siyam, He's addressing all the Muslims. How then can you come and say that when He's talking about a mosque, He's talking about a specific mosque? No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, al-masjid. Alif wal lam li-istighraq al-jins. Ay jami' al-masajid. A mosque that fits the condition of having a mu'adhin and an imam, you can perform the i'tikaf within it. The ladies, the men, and also the children who have reached the age of tamiz. We've said the mosque that you can pray the 2 salahs. Says, is it a must for you to perform in a mosque that prays Jum'ah? He says, يجوز الاعتكاف في غير مسجد الجمعة إلا إذا كان يتخلل الاعتكاف جمعة باتفاق المذاهب الفقهية. You're allowed to perform i'tikaf even in a mosque that there is no Jum'ah. Because you live in the mosque when you're performing i'tikaf for Jum'ah, you're leaving the mosque for a reason that is beyond your control. You're leaving the mosque for something that you have been obligated to perform. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. Allah has called you that when the call for Jum'ah is made, you have to leave to go answer the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. طيب, are you allowed to sleep on the rooftop of the mosque or on the minara? Some people want to sleep in the rooftop. Yes, you're allowed. This entire building is considered a mosque with regards to this ibadah of i'tikaf. You're not considered to have left the mosque. So if you want to sleep on the rooftop, there's no harm. طيب, are you allowed, Ikhwani fillah, some mosques like in Medina, in Mecca, in Aqsa, other mosques, they have like a courtyard, they have like a gardens and something. Even if you go to the Umayyad mosque in Damascus, they have a courtyard. Are you allowed to go to the courtyard and you're still in i'tikaf? Yes, that courtyard is still considered to be part of the mosque. Is a woman allowed to perform i'tikaf in the prayer place of a house? No, she's not allowed. That is not a mosque. She has to go to the mosque to perform al-i'tikaf. We're going to finish inshallah this book today. يقول ما يشترط وما لا يشترط لصحة الاعتكاف. What are conditions and what are not conditions for the i'tikaf to be correct? إخواني في الله, if you want to perform i'tikaf, number one, you have to have tahara. You have to be pure in terms of whatever is required for you to take a bath. So if you're a man who has had relation with your wife, you cannot come to the mosque and you're in a state of janaba. You must have taken a bath. You're a sister, you have gotten pure from your periods, you must take your bath from your periods at home, then you come and perform your i'tikaf. You're not allowed. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنبا إلا عابر السبيل حتى تغتسلوا. The one who has janaba must take a bath. So if you're coming to the mosque and you have janaba, you must take a bath. طيب, you're in the mosque these 10 days, and some have, mashallah, strong hormones, and as they sleep, they get the wet dreams during the day or night of Ramadan. So they get into a state of janaba while they're in the mosque. What are they supposed to do? You're a brother, you have, mashallah, your hormones are very strong these 10 days, and you get your wet dreams as you sleep in the mosque during these 10 days. What are you supposed to do? You're in a state of janaba, you're not supposed to be in the mosque. You're allowed, Ikhwani fillah, or you're obligated actually to go take a bath wherever that bath is closest to you. So you leave the mosque and you take a bath. Our mosque here, we have showers. You can take a shower and you take your wudu and you go back to ibadah. It does not break your i'tikaf. It does not break your siyam. You just have to go take a bath. It's not something that breaks the fast. Is it a must for you to have wudu for you to be in i'tikaf? It is not a must for you to have wudu for you to be in i'tikaf. What is the time period of i'tikaf? You can perform i'tikaf, ikhwani fillah, any time during the year. It is not a condition for you to fast for you to perform i'tikaf. So you can perform i'tikaf in Ramadan, and that is the best. The Prophet ﷺ used to perform it in the last 10 nights. In the year he passed away, he performed it in 20 nights. So you can perform i'tikaf any time of the year. The Prophet ﷺ performed i'tikaf in 10 days of Shawwal. So you can perform i'tikaf any time of the year. Any time. And it is not a condition for you to have fasted. So you can come and stay in the mosque for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month. As long as you're not leaving other obligations, you're allowed to do so. However, the best is the last 10 nights of Ramadan. What is the minimum of i'tikaf? The minimum of i'tikaf is nothing. You can come for the mosque for 30 minutes. That's also considered i'tikaf. You can stay in the mosque to remember Allah, to make dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and you can do i'tikaf. What is the beginning of this i'tikaf that we do in the last 10 days of Ramadan? You want to perform this ibadah of i'tikaf. You want to stay in the mosque, recite your Quran, do your ibadah, do your dhikr, improve your relation with Allah Azza wa Jal. When are you supposed to start this i'tikaf? Who's performing i'tikaf this year? Anyone performing i'tikaf this year, inshallah? There's like, mashallah, hundreds of people, not even is raising their hand. Or people are, طيب, ما في مشكلة. If you're performing i'tikaf, ikhwani fillah, the first opinion, the scholars they say, is that you should enter the mosque today before Maghrib. Before Maghrib. And this is the opinion of the four madhabs. You should enter before Maghrib. The second opinion, ikhwani fillah, also a very strong opinion, is that you can enter tomorrow after Fajr. Tomorrow after Fajr. So being on the safe side, enter today before Maghrib, as is the opinion of the majority of the scholars of Islam. When does it end? When does this i'tikaf end? The i'tikaf ends when the Eid is announced, that the moon of the Eid has been sighted. So not exactly at that time, Maghrib of the last day of Ramadan. You're sure tomorrow is Eid because 30 days of Ramadan have ended, or 29 days has ended, and the moon has been seen. Maghrib has reached, your i'tikaf has finished, go home and take a bath. Some people, they extend to the next day until the Eid prayers. I don't know why they do that. The correct opinion is that it ends with Maghrib. Is there maximum i'tikaf? There's no maximum period of i'tikaf. You can do i'tikaf for as long as you want, as long as you do not go against, break other obligations. Is it a must for you to fast, for you to perform i'tikaf? No, it is not a must for you to fast, for you to perform i'tikaf. I was asked a strange question, ikhwani fillah. In chemistry, there are three states of matter. In chemistry, there are three states of matter: solids, liquids, and gases. Are you together? Water in solid form is called what? Ice. Are you allowed to take ice when you're fasting Ramadan? Are you allowed to take ice? Or it breaks your fast? It breaks your fast. Type. In liquid form, are you allowed to take water in Ramadan? It breaks your fast. Type. In gas form, water vapor or steam, if it enters, does that break your fast or not? It's still water. It's not in the solid form, it's not in the liquid form, or it's not in the gas form. Does that break your fast? You've entered the shower, the hot shower, then there's some steam. Does that break your fast? Is when you are breathing that water vapor or that steam, is that considered food or drinking in any language in the world? It is not considered food or drink in any language of the world, so it does not break your fast. It does not break your fast. Don't feel shy, asking any question, even if it's strange, inshallah, we'll try answering. Al-khuruju bi jami' al-badani bi ghayri udhr. If you leave the mosque for no valid reason when you're in i'tikaf, you have spoiled your i'tikaf. You cannot leave the mosque for no valid reason. A valid reason, fillah, is, for example, attending a janaza prayer. A valid reason, for example, is if you're praying if you're doing i'tikaf in a mosque that there's no Jum'ah, you have to leave it for Jum'ah. A valid reason, for example, is to go look for food if you don't have food brought to you to the mosque. A valid reason is to take a bath for janaba or so. So you can leave the mosque for a valid reason, that you have a sharia reason to do so. But you cannot leave a mosque for going to visit a friend or go to watch a football match or something of that sort. So you can, if you leave the mosque for a reason that is not valid, you have broken your i'tikaf. And if you leave the mosque for a valid reason, of course, your i'tikaf is still present. Al-khuruju bi ba'd al-badan. You're allowed to leave also the mosque with part of your body. The Prophet ﷺ, his house was attached to the mosque. So he used to put his head outside the mosque, and Aisha radhiallahu anha will comb the hair of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You're not allowed to touch your wife in terms of cuddling. You're not allowed to kiss them a kiss that is of intimate nature. You're not allowed to have intercourse within these 10 days of Ramadan if you're in i'tikaf. If you're in i'tikaf, even if you feel what, you cannot break, you'll break your i'tikaf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. So this 10 days is between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. Do not go to your wife at all with regards to cuddling. You're allowed to kiss, but a kiss that's not intimate. A kiss that's intimate will break your fast. It's counted as al-mubashara. If you have a wet dream, as you said, that does not break your i'tikaf. You just have to go take a bath as soon as possible. It does not break your fast also. If you get your periods within these 10 days that you're in Itikaf as a sister, you have to leave the mosque. Go home, finish your periods, take your bath, and come back to the mosque and continue with the Itikaf. You are allowed to leave the mosque, your Itikaf, you'll be given a break over there from your Itikaf. Go home. You cannot stay in the mosque when you're in a state of periods, according to the majority of the scholars of Islam. So if you get Itikaf, or you get nifas, the bleeding that comes after pregnancy, or maybe you've got a miscarriage and the bleeding continues, then that spoils your Itikaf. You have to leave the mosque. Of course, if you lose your mind within this 10 days, your Itikaf also, it breaks. This I don't understand how this happened. Ridda tufsidul Itikaf. If someone leaves the fold of Islam when they're in a state of Itikaf, that breaks their Itikaf, because they're no longer Muslims. But هذا مسألة لا تتصور. Is it possible for someone to come the last 10 days of Ramadan, they want to spend ibadah and Allah Azza wa Jal, then they end up being apostates when they're in a state of Itikaf? I don't know how that will work, but you never know with how shaitan can misguide people, and how people are already shaitans, some of them in themselves. Type. If you have said, oh Allah, if I pass this exam, oh Allah, if my child gets well, oh Allah, if I get this tender, if I get this contract, I'm going to perform Itikaf for 1 month in Masjid Salam. What is the ruling of such a person? You have said, oh Allah, if I get this contract, oh Allah, if I pass these exams, I'm going to perform Itikaf for 1 month. Number one, you make a mistake when you are making a business deal like this with Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not into types of deals. You're making something wajib upon yourself that Allah has not made wajib upon you. It is haram for you, khani fillah, to make another, to make such, like you're bribing, you're doing what? You're doing a favor to Allah. Oh Allah, if you give me this, I'll give you that. Allah does not want anything from you. It is you who are benefiting yourself with that ibadah. But you've decided that you're going to do another 1 month, you're going to be Itikaf in the mosque, or 1 day, or 5 days. You must fulfill that nadhr. You must fulfill that nadhr. So if you have done that, you come to Masjid Salam for 1 month, and we'll give you permission to perform the Itikaf or whichever mosque. Even if you said, Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, when I was a non-Muslim, I said, oh Allah, I want to perform Itikaf 1 night in Makkah. So he had to perform that 1 night in Makkah, as the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he told him to do so. Inshallah, we're almost finishing. The next issue, Ikhwani fillah, is if someone says, I want to perform Itikaf for 1 day, does that 1 day include the night? The scholars, they say 1 day, or if someone says 1 day, it's just the day, the days of sunlight, not the night. So it's only 12 hours, it's not 24 hours. If someone says, I want to perform Itikaf 1 day for Allah Azza wa Jal, it is considered 12 hours, the days of sunlight. Qada'u Itikaf al-mustahab, you're allowed to pay back the days that you missed for Itikaf later on if you want to pay them back. Be it a sunnah Itikaf, a wajib Itikaf, of course you have to repay it back. The next issue, Khani fillah, is the best time and the best place to perform Itikaf. The best time to perform Itikaf is this last 10 nights of Ramadan. If you asked what are the best nights of the year, it is this last 10 nights of Ramadan. Within it is the night of Laylatul Qadr. Question, when is Laylatul Qadr? When is Laylatul Qadr? Number one, no one knows when Laylatul Qadr is. Is it the 27th of Ramadan? Or does it change every year? It changes every year. Laylatul Qadr is within this last 10 nights of Ramadan. That's why these last 10 nights are the best nights of the year. So if you're seeking Laylatul Qadr, Ikhwani fillah, you should be seeking out it all these 10 nights of Ramadan. Do not just come to the mosque on the 27th of Ramadan and perhaps you're thinking that you're being smarter than the rest of the people who are here for the last 10 nights or 30 nights seeking that favor. So seek out Laylatul Qadr within these 10 nights of the last 10 nights. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Iltamisuha fil ashri al-awakhir." Seek it in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So the best time to perform Itikaf is this 10 nights of Ramadan. And the best place to perform i'tikaf is the first one. Which mosque is the best? Which mosque is the best to perform i'tikaf in? Al-Haram, Makkah. You perform in Makkah because one salah when you're there is equal to one salah in Makkah in the holy mosque, in the grand mosque is equal to how much? 100,000 salahs. 100,000 salahs. In Masjid Salam here or other mosques we pray 5 salahs in a day. That 5 salahs in 1 year is about 1800 salahs. 1800 salahs, 50 years is about 90,000 salahs. So you need about 50 something years just for you to pray that one salah in Haram. So i'tikaf in Makkah is better than salah in our mosque, our equivalent over 50 years, 100,000 salahs. The second mosque is the mosque of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina. One prayer in the mosque of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is 1,000 prayers in this mosque. So it's equivalent to praying here for 200 days. The third great place is the mosque in Jerusalem, in Al-Quds, in Al-Aqsa. That is the third best place to do. Sometimes you find some websites, they say the 4th holiest site in Islam, the 5th holiest site, the 6th holiest site, the 7th, 8th, 9th, some in Senegal, some in Timbuktu, some in Egypt, some in Karbala. All this is nonsense. The only 3 mosques for us. لا تشد الرحال إلا لثلاثة مساجد. We as Muslims, we know how many mosques? Only 3 mosques. 2 were built by the Khalil of Allah and 1 was built by the Khalil of Allah. 2 were built by the Khalil of Allah, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he built Makkah and Al-Aqsa, and 1 was built by the Khalil of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he built the mosque in Medina. These are the 3 mosques. We do not know any other mosques. So these are 3 best mosques. The 4th is the mosque that you are in. The mosque that you're in, Al-Jami' الذي تصلي فيه هذا أفضل أماكن هذه أفضل الأماكن للاعتكاف. When you're in i'tikaf, ikhwani fillah, make a lot of reciting the Quran, a lot of dhikr, a lot of prayer in a time that is not a time that you are prevented to perform the salah. It is the month of Ramadan. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhuma, you are not allowed to recite the Quran in less than 3 days. You are not allowed to recite the Quran in less than 3 days. He said that to Abdullah ibn Amr. He says the one who recites the Quran in less than 3 days, he has not understood it. Ikhwani fillah, the scholars, when it comes to Ramadan, a blessed month like Ramadan, or a blessed place like Makkah and Medina, they say this condition is not there, especially for Makkah. Says that when it comes to the month of Ramadan, recite as much of the Quran that you want to recite. Some of the brothers, they're able to recite an entire Quran in 1 day. It's possible. You start, a juz takes like 15-20 minutes. 30 juz will take you 600 minutes. That's about 10 hours. You can finish the entire Quran. That's a challenge I give myself and yourself. Try 1 day at least in your lives that you start and finish the Quran in a 24-hour period, like our previous scholars they used to do. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah used to finish the Quran 60 times in Ramadan. Imam Abu Hanifa 60 times. Bukhari 45 times. So many people. So in Ramadan you can recite as much of the Quran, and especially when you're in i'tikaf, every time you're with the Quran, you're with dhikr, you're with ibadah, you're with remembering Allah Azza wa Jal, you can recite a lot of the Quran that you are allowed to. So recite as much as it is. طيب. A person does not, when it comes to i'tikaf, he does not want to talk to anyone. Is that allowed? Yes, when you come for i'tikaf, ikhwani fillah, do not waste time. Keep your phone off. Don't follow the news. Al Jazeera is saying this, Nation is saying this, the president has said this, MP has. No, it is you and Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't follow what is happening around the world. Keep away from everything. But you keeping quiet and refusing to talk to anyone is a form of comparing yourself to the fast of the people of the book. Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawman. This is Maryam radhiallahu anha. When she got pregnant, the angel came to her and then she said, I have fasted. Zakaria, when he was told that you're going to get Yahya, he said he fasted. What was the fast of the people of the book? They used to keep quiet amongst other things. So you keeping quiet and refuse to talk to anyone, you're imitating them and it's not correct. So you're not allowed to do that if your intention is to imitate. Are you allowed to marry when you're in i'tikaf? Who will perform a wedding? Are you allowed to marry someone or to be the one who marries someone off when you're in i'tikaf? Who says you're allowed to marry when you're in i'tikaf? You've come for ibadah and you're engaged in marriage. There's no problem, Ikhwani Fillah. When you are in the mosque, you're performing i'tikaf, and a wali has come with, and all the conditions are there, you can marry someone off. And if you're the lucky one, qabilt, you accept your marriage, but you meet your wife on the day of Eid, inshallah. You meet your wife after you come out of i'tikaf. So there's no problem for you to marry when you're in a state of i'tikaf. With this, Ikhwani Fillah, we complete our lecture series regarding the book of Siyam. This lecture series is available online on Ilm TV or YouTube, or you can get it from the website durar.net. Type. One of the brothers is asking, he got rejected from the Islamic University of Medina. What should they do next time when they're applying? Number one, Ikhwani Fillah, we know people who are rejected from applying to Medina 6 times, 7 times, and they continued until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them and they were accepted to the University of Medina. Number two, if you want to be accepted to the University of Medina, sometimes it's recommended for you to go for Umrah. You do your ibadah and Umrah, then go to Medina. There are many students from Kenya and from other countries. At least they'll take you around the offices and they'll assist you with completing the application process. Type. The next question is asking, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it a must to read the dua before saying Allahu Akbar before Salah? There's no dua before Takbiratul Ihram. There's no dua before Takbiratul Ihram. Also, there's no niyyah before Takbiratul Ihram. When you enter Salah, you don't need to say Nawaitu an usalli 4 rak'at lillahi azza wa jal salat al-asr. An-niyyah mahalluha al-qalb. The place of the intention is the heart. So you do not say anything before you enter Salah. You know this Salah is Salat al-Asr, you have come to the mosque, Allahu Akbar, and you enter and you perform your Salah. A mistake, Ikhwani Fillah, that brothers or sisters they make in Ramadan, not in Ramadan, anytime. Sometimes you come late and you find the Imam in ruku'. And what they do is they enter ruku' so that they reach the Salah. Thus, they have not prayed any Salah. Why? Because they have left a pillar of Salah that is known as Takbiratul Ihram. So you should say Allahu Akbar, Takbiratul Ihram, Allahu Akbar, the Takbir of Wajib that you go perform the ruku'. You cannot leave the Takbiratul Ihram. You cannot leave the Takbiratul Ihram. Another mistake, Ikhwani Fillah, in Ramadan, especially in our mosque here, you find some brothers, I don't know about the sisters, they wait for the Imam in Taraweeh. The Imam is reciting the Quran. When the Imam finishes his recitation of the Quran and he says Allahu Akbar and he goes to ruku', you find someone rushing and he joins the prayer in ruku'. Have you seen this? Question, is this person considered to have missed the Fatiha, or are they considered to have left the Fatiha? They have left, definitely. They have not missed. Someone has missed, that has a valid reason. ولكن هذا ترك ولم تفته التكبيرة الإحرام. الفرق بين الترك والفوات. طيب. The next question, Khani Fillah, they're asking is, if my mother is diabetic and missed her sawm and she's sick, can I fast upon her? What's the question? What's the answer? Can you fast on your mother who's diabetic and she missed her sawm? What did he say? You cannot fast on anyone who is alive. You cannot fast for anyone who is alive. Also, with regards to diabetes, if you take insulin during the day of Ramadan, it does not break your fast. If you take the insulin injection, it does not break your fast. It is not considered food. It is not considered a drink. That is a hormone. It does not break your fast according to our scholars in this century. Type Zakatul Fitr. Are you allowed to add some cash on top of the required Zakatul Fitri for less fortunate families who are far away? Zakatul Fitri, Ikhwani Fillah, is food. What you're supposed to give the poor and the needy, the masakin and the fuqara, is food. You cannot give them money. So a mistake sometimes we make is on a day of Eid, before the Salatul Eid, you come outside here and you find beggars outside and you give them money and you think that is Zakatul Fitr. You have made 2 mistakes. Number 1, is that person a poor, needy Muslim? That's the first condition. They have to be poor or needy, and they have to be Muslim. And the second condition is zakat al-fitri is food. It is not money. طيب. The issue of zakat al-fitri, ikhwani fillah, also the mistake is if you're allowed to give money to an organization, but that organization must buy food and give food to the poor people. What reaches the poor and needy is always food. Rice, wheat, barley, dates, any staple food. You cannot give money. You cannot give money. Are we together? You cannot pay your zakat al-fitri now. I paid my zakat al-fitri on the 1st of Ramadan or 20th of Ramadan. That is not zakat al-fitri. Zakat al-fitri maximum is 2 days before the Salat al-Eid. So that the Muslims who are poor and needy enjoy the day of Eid. They do not spend it except with happiness like the rest of you. So you cannot give your zakat al-fitri except 2 days or 1 day or just before the Salat al-Eid. If you give it after Salat al-Eid, it is a sadaqah of the normal sadaqat. It is no longer zakat al-fitr. How much is zakat al-fitri? 3 kgs per person. 3 kgs per person. I've seen some Islamic organizations, they make a mistake. They say 2.5 kgs or 2.3 kgs. This is a mistake. Why is this a mistake? Because zakat al-fitr, ikhwani fillah, is not a measurement of mass. It's not a measurement that is in kg. Zakat al-fitr is a measurement that is a sa', 4 handfuls, a sa'. And a sa' is a volume measurement. It's a volume measurement. So if you have that volume, whatever rice fits on that volume, that is your zakat al-fitr. And you have long grain rice, you have short grain rice, you have basmati, you have different types of rice. So every rice has different density. Every food has different density. So some of them will feel the volume faster, some will feel it slower. So zakat al-fitri, for you to be on the safe side, use 3 kgs. Use 3 kgs, not 2.5 kgs. I'm not really saving, honestly, when you're cutting 0.5 kgs. I don't know why people are very hard when it comes to ibadah. They want exact with Allah Azza wa Jal. Sheikh, 2.5% is my zakatul mal. You pay 3%, there's no harm. Give 5 kgs of rice, what's the harm? But you want to be exact with Allah Azza wa Jal. Khawani fillah, be easy. Allah will make things easy for you. Don't be so following up on things. Don't be very tough. So follow 3 kgs. You have 6 people in your family. That's 18 kgs. 18 kgs of rice. A kg of rice is about 250, 300 shillings. 18 kgs times 300 is 5,400 Kenya shillings. You go buy that rice and you give to the poor and the needy. The next question is, what do you do if your itikaf is broken? You start a new itikaf. You still have time. Is there a salah called Salatul Haja? Is there a salah called Salatul Haja? I don't know. Is there a salah called Salatul Haja? A salah of needs? I don't know of Salatul Haja. Type. What happens if you used to pay 2.5 kgs? It's whatever's passed. If you used to pay 2.5 kgs, it has passed. But for now, pay 3 kgs from now on. Why? Because you've understood that the zakat al-fitr, the food, is a volume measurement. It is not a measurement of mass. Mass is measured in kgs. Volume is measured by grams per centimeters cubed or kg per meter cubed. So the volume is depending on the density, it changes. If you can remember your physics. So this volume, sometimes you can have rice, you can put 2.5 kgs of basmati rice, 2.7 kgs of long grain rice, 2.2 kgs of pishori rice. Everything will have different masses. So to be on the safe side, use how many kgs? 3 kgs. 3 kgs is how many grams? Emirates. How many grams? 3 kgs. One of the sisters is asking, I live near a mosque. Since we've been starting tahajjud tonight, can I pray from my bedroom as I follow the qira'ah of the mosque? Your bedroom is not considered part of the or connecting part of the mosque. So if in your house, you're in this estate here that's called KMA estate, you're behind the mosque, you cannot be following the tahajjud of Masjid Salam and you're praying jama'ah with us. The same way you cannot follow you pray in Makkah, you put on the TV and you start praying with the Imam on Makkah. One of the sheikhs said, if you continue in this way, one day we're afraid you'll take the fridge and you start performing tawaf around the fridge, and you're saying you're performing tawaf around the fridge. So you have to be in the place and it has to be connected to that place. Taib. With this we end our questions with regards to the i'tikaf and dua. Any other questions, Ikhwani Fillah? Ask any questions, even if they're foolish. Some brothers here want to hit me, I can see them. They want to recite the Quran. Yes, we'll give you time to recite the Quran. Also, these other brothers, then ibadah, when they listen to dars, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, مَجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بُيُوتِ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ وَحَفَتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ. No group of people, they attend the mosque and the halaqah of remembrance except they get these 4 rewards. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring the mercy on them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have His angels cover them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention them in a gathering better than this gathering. This is a month of generosity. The Prophet ﷺ used to be most generous in the month of Ramadan. Why was he most generous in the month of Ramadan? Because Jibreel alayhi salam used to come and study with him the Quran in the month of Ramadan. Studying the Quran is not only studying the tilawah of the Quran, also the meaning and the ahkam that is also in the Quran. So this is also an ibadah that we do in Ramadan. We have only had, this is our second lecture. So Ikhwani Fillah, don't put in your heart that you're giving a dars in Ramadan. Why is the Sheikh giving a dars in Ramadan? This is just a moment. Some of these brothers, they only attend, or this is the only moment they get this remembrance. So let's not give them, let's not refuse them this ajr. If there are any questions, inshallah, as we close, any questions? ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم تقبل منا صيامنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر اخواننا المستضعفين في غزة. اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم. اللهم أرنا في اليهود يوما أسودا. اللهم أرنا فيهم يومك يوم الأحزاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم حرر المسجد الأقصى من براثن اليهود. اللهم طهر المسجد الأقصى من دنس اليهود. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا. ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. وآخر دعوانا لله الحمد لله ولله الحمد لله رب العالمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.